You know how it is. Life in 2025 just feels like you're constantly hitting fast forward, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
So much to juggle, so much coming at you. Sometimes you just need a moment to breathe and refocus, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
That's exactly what we're doing in this deep dive. We're looking at mindfulness and positive affirmations, but not as extra chores, more like ways to weave more calm and clarity into your everyday.
That's the key, isn't it? Taking these like really powerful ideas and making them genuinely accessible. We've gathered insights from, well, a whole bunch of sources you shared.
Yeah,
Everything from the very practical tips in Mindful and Better Up to techniques from mindfulness exercises and cognitive behavioral therapy Los Angeles.
right.
We even looked at perspectives from Very Well Mind, Apple Podcasts, Thrive On, Body and Mindfully Healthy, and even got a sense of what people are chatting about on Reddit.
Exactly. And our goal here isn't to give you some dry lecture. It's really to pull out the most useful, the easy to understand nuggets that you can actually start using, like today.
Yeah, to dial down the stress, sharpen your focus, maybe cultivate a bit more of a positive outlook.
Or after those aha moments that actually stick.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into mindfulness first.
Yeah.
It can sound like this big intimidating thing sometimes,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have to be, does it?
Not at all. In fact, a lot of our sources really emphasize that mindfulness can be integrated right into your daily routine through small, almost effortless actions, really.
Yeah.
That mindful article, 5 Simple Mindfulness Practices for Daily Life, it really shines a light on this. They offer these little pockets of awareness you can build into your day.
Oh, that article really resonated with me. Let's start with their idea of a mindful wake-up.
Okay.
Instead of instantly, grabbing your phone.
Which we all do.
Guilty.
Yeah.
The suggestion is to set an intention for the day before all the distractions flood in. It's such a simple shift, but it feels, I don't know, powerful.
And what's fascinating about that, from a sort of brain perspective, is how it connects 2 parts of your brain. You've got the fast brain, that's your automatic impulses, right?
Right, autopilot.
Exactly. And then the slow brain, which is more deliberate, more conscious. Setting an intention kind of acts as a bridge.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, it gives your slow brain a chance to actually set the direction for the day. And it taps into those really core human motivations, things like reward, connection, purpose. By consciously deciding, how do I want to show up today, you're essentially giving yourself a proactive start.
And the steps they lay out are so doable. Just sit comfortably when you wake up, close your eyes, maybe just feel what's happening in your body for a second.
Just check in.
Yeah. Then ask yourself a reflective question. This is just something like, how might I show up today to have the best impact? And set a specific intention.
And they give good examples, too.
Yeah, like, today, I will be kind to myself, or maybe be patient with others. The key, they say, is just to check in with that intention during the day. Not like rigidly, but just a gentle reminder.
Right. It's like having a subtle compass guiding your actions. Really neat. Then there's mindful eating.
Oh, yeah.
I think we can all relate to eating without really paying attention, can't we?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
How often are we scrolling through our phones or just lost in thought while we eat?
Way too often. Especially, when you're trying to multitask. But like the article points out, eating can be so much more than just, fuel.
Right. It could be a really rich sensory experience.
And what stands out in their approach is the emphasis on creating a pause before you even start eating. They recommend taking like 8 to 10 slow, deep belly breaths. That small act itself is a moment of mindfulness, right? A chance to just arrive.
Just arrive, yeah.
Then really tuning into your body's hunger cues. They suggest using a scale of 1 to 10 and eating based on that, not just because it's lunchtime.
Makes sense.
And the idea of peaceful eating, slowing down, breathing between bites, it makes perfect sense, not just for digestion, but for actually savoring your food.
Right.
And that little tip about mindfully assessing your enjoyment after the first 3 bites, I thought that was brilliant.
Me too. It's like a little checkpoint, isn't it? Am I actually enjoying this
Yeah.
or am I just eating?
Exactly. A way to maybe prevent that mindless consumption. Okay, next up, they talk about the mindful pause, and this really hit home for me.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, they say that a staggering 95% of our behavior runs on autopilot. 95%.
Wow. That's a lot.
It is. That's the fast brain in action, those deeply ingrained habits, those neural network shortcuts our brains love.
So mindfulness, the slow brain, is about intentionally stepping out of that autopilot mode, bringing in that executive control, that conscious decision-making.
Precisely. And the article touches on something called behavior design, which is basically about making it easier for that slow brain to take charge.
Okay, so how do you do that?
It's about making the automatic response a little harder, maybe, and the mindful choice a little easier.
Ah, like leaving your running shoes right by the door so you trip over them.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
the trip over what you want to do idea they mention. Making the desired action more visible.
Okay.
And they also mention neuroplasticity, which is, well, it's just so encouraging, isn't it?
Yeah, the idea that our brains aren't fixed, we can actually build new pathways.
We can, through consistent effort.
Yep.
That's the underlying science making these practices work. And their practical tips for creating that mindful pause are great. Refreshing your triggers regularly, like moving sticky notes around so you don't just tune them out.
Right, because you get used to them.
Yeah, and those if this, then that rules. Like, if the office door closes, then take 1 deep breath. Or if the kettle boils, then I'll take 3 deep breaths. These small cues can really disrupt that automatic flow.
I like those. Simple but effective. Then there's the mindful workout. Now, I usually think of exercise as, something to just take off the list, get it done.
Me too, often. But they present it as a real opportunity for mindfulness. The insightful shift here is moving from focusing purely on external goals like calories burned or miles run to being really present with your body and what it's capable of in that moment.
Okay, so how does that work in practice?
Well, their steps can apply to pretty much any physical activity. Start by being clear on your aim, maybe visualizing the session. Then the warm-up becomes about consciously coordinating your breath and movement.
Right, not just going through the motions.
Exactly. As you get into your rhythm, you continue to focus on that connection, breath, and movement together. Even when you challenge yourself, increase the intensity, it's about being present with the effort, the sensations.
And then the cool down, too.
Absolutely. And the rest afterwards. Those become crucial opportunities to really notice the sensations in your body, the after effects of the movement. It's basically like turning your physical activity into a kind of moving meditation.
That's a completely different way to think about exercise. I like that. And finally, they tackle mindful driving.
Yes. Traffic stress.
Oh, we can all relate to that, right? That feeling of being stuck, the frustration bubbling up.
It's so common, but the article, again, reframes it. It's actually a chance to cultivate mindfulness right there in your car.
Okay, what are the steps?
They're simple, but potentially transformative. First, just take a deep breath as you start your drive, or maybe when you hit that wall of traffic. Then ask yourself, what do I actually need right now? Maybe it's a feeling of safety, or just a bit of ease,
Okay.
Then try to give yourself what you need. Scan your body for tension. Maybe unclench your jaw. Use a little self-compassionate phrase like, may I be at ease.
I like that.
And then, this is key, recognize that everyone else stuck in that traffic is probably feeling something similar. They're just like you. So maybe extend a bit of understanding or compassion their way. Silently wish them, may you be at ease too.
Wow, extending compassion to other drivers. That could really shift your internal state, couldn't it? Instead of getting angry.
Totally. And then just take another deep breath. It's about finding these little anchors of calm in a potentially stressful situation.
And the article's final point, that these small daily actions really do lead to significant long-term benefits, it's really encouraging.
It is. It really boils down to building these little moments of awareness and intention throughout your day. They add up.
Okay, so that gives us a really good handle on some practical mindfulness techniques.
Yeah.
Now let's turn our attention to positive affirmations. The Better article offers a really solid foundation on what these are and, importantly, how they actually work.
Yeah, they describe affirmations as basically statements or mantras that help us shift those ingrained negative thought patterns we all have.
Right, and they're not some magic fix,
No, definitely not. But they can be a really powerful tool for supporting positive changes, maybe boosting our confidence, helping us move towards our goals.
So how do they define them specifically?
The crucial part is how they define them. Positive messages, always stated in the present tense, like it's already true.
Okay, present tense.
Yeah. And they're specifically designed to reduce that negative self-talk and encourage a more positive internal dialogue. And the Better Up article does a great job explaining the mechanism behind it. It's all about leveraging neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity again, the brain's ability to rewire itself.
Exactly, through repetition. So when you first start using an affirmation, that new positive thought pathway, it might feel a bit weak, maybe even unnatural or unbelievable at first.
Yeah, I can see that. It might feel a bit forced,
Right. And that's why sticking with affirmations can sometimes feel challenging. But the idea is with consistent repetition, saying them, writing them, thinking them, they become stronger.
like carving out a new groove in your brain.
Precisely. And eventually, they can start to override those old automatic negative thoughts. It's like laying down a new track in your mind.
Okay, so how do you actually create good affirmations?
Well, BetterUp provides some really concrete steps. It starts with just becoming aware of those automatic negative thoughts that tend to pop up for you.
Paying attention to your inner critic.
Exactly. Maybe even jotting down the underlying negative beliefs fueling those thoughts. And then you consciously reframe them into positive, present tense statements.
And they gave some examples, right?
Yeah, some really helpful ones that seem to resonate with common struggles, like, I am enough. That's a powerful one for countering feelings of inadequacy.
That hits home for a lot of people, I bet.
For sure. Or, I can do hard things. Great for building resilience when you're facing something tough.
Yeah.
And I am resilient in the face of challenges, just reinforcing that inner strength.
So it's not just wishful thinking, it's about actively building a belief.
That's the idea. And what's interesting is their emphasis on engaging with these affirmations actively. Don't just think them once.
Right.
They suggest saying them aloud, maybe looking in the mirror, writing them down repeatedly, even recording yourself saying them and listening back.
Different channels to reinforce it.
Exactly. It's about that consistent reinforcement. They also discuss practical ways to integrate them into daily life, like maybe setting specific times each day, finding a quiet space, using visual reminders like sticky notes, or even linking them to existing routines like brushing your teeth.
Making it a habit.
Making it a habit. And the benefits they list are pretty compelling. Things like improved self-worth, a more positive self-image.
Which makes sense if you're countering negative self-talk.
Right. And potential improvements in physical health probably linked to reduced stress, a definite shift away from negative thinking patterns, boosted self-confidence, better overall mental well-being, and maybe even enhanced problem-solving abilities because you feel more capable.
Wow, okay. It sounds like a really valuable tool to have in your toolkit.
It really does. However, there's always a however, isn't there?
Usually, what's the catch?
Well, the Very Well Mind article brings in an important note of caution. They point out the potential downsides of maybe unrealistic optimism.
Okay. Like thinking everything will magically be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Where overly positive expectations, if they're not grounded, could actually lead to disappointment if things don't pan out exactly as affirmed.
Right, setting yourself up for a fall.
Kind of. And they also discuss something called toxic positivity.
Ooh, I've heard that term. What is it exactly?
It's that pressure, sometimes internal, sometimes external, to maintain a positive facade no matter what, even in genuinely difficult or painful situations, denying real negative feelings.
Yeah, like you're not allowed to feel sad or angry. That doesn't sound healthy.
It's not. And Very Well Mind really highlights the importance of realistic optimism instead. Maintaining a hopeful outlook, yes, but also acknowledging and processing difficult realities and emotions, not suppressing them.
That makes perfect sense. It's about balance, hope, but also reality.
Precisely. And this is where mindfulness and affirmations can really work beautifully hand in hand.
How so?
Well, as Very Well Mind suggests, by practicing mindfulness, you become more aware of those underlying negative thoughts and feelings as they arise, without judgment.
Okay, so you see them clearly.
Right. And that awareness then makes it easier to consciously choose to shift towards a more positive but still realistic mindset using affirmations. It's not about forcing positivity onto unprocessed negativity.
Got it. It's about being present with what is, acknowledging it, and then intentionally guiding your thoughts towards a more helpful, constructive perspective.
You got it. It's a more integrated approach.
Okay, so we have a good understanding of the basics of affirmations, the benefits, the potential pitfalls. Now, let's look at how we can tailor them for specific challenges, particularly something like anxiety. The Cognitive Behavioral Therapy Los Angeles article offers some really practical advice here.
Yeah, they really emphasize that crafting effective affirmations for anxiety needs to be personalized. It's not one size fits all.
Makes sense. Anxiety manifests differently for everyone.
Exactly. So the first step they suggest is identifying the specific worries or triggers that contribute to your anxiety. What are the thoughts that keep looping? getting specific. Then they recommend keeping the affirmations concise, clear, and framing them, again, in the present tense as positive statements, declarations, really. So instead of saying, I won't worry so much, you might say something like, I am calm and at peace right now.
Okay, focusing on the desired state.
Yes. And they stress making the affirmations feel believable and realistic to you. If it feels completely fake, it's not going to resonate or help.
Right, it has to land somehow.
It has to land. Using uplifting and empowering language is also key, focusing on your inherent strengths, your resilience, the qualities you possess or want to cultivate. And, just like Better Up mentioned, consistency is crucial. Regular repetition.
Okay, do they give specific examples for different types of anxiety?
They did, which is super helpful. For instance, for a fear of the unknown, they suggest affirmations like, I trust in my ability to navigate uncertainty.
Ooh, I like that. Acknowledges the uncertainty but focuses on your ability.
Exactly. For catastrophic thinking, always jumping to the worst case scenario, maybe something like, I choose to focus on what I can control.
Bringing it back to agency. Good one.
Yeah. For perfectionism, which fuels a lot of anxiety, how about, I am enough just as I am and I strive for progress, not perfection.
Letting go of that impossible standard, that's powerful.
Isn't it? And for that endless overthinking loop, my mind is clear, focused, and free from unnecessary worry.
Wow, these are really tangible ways to counter those specific anxious thought patterns.
They really are. And they also give examples for social anxiety, things like, I am worthy of connection, or I release the fear of judgment and embrace my authentic self.
Those feel very empowering for social situations.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And even for managing panic attacks, which can feel so overwhelming, they suggest affirmations like, I trust in my ability to navigate through moments of panic with strength and resilience. And the simple reminder, this panic will pass and I will emerge stronger.
Those sound like really helpful anchors to hold on to in those intense moments.
Yeah.
Like a lifeline.
Yeah, like a cognitive lifeline. And for more generalized anxiety, they offer examples like, I release worry and embrace the peace within me, or I trust that I can handle whatever comes my way, just building that sense of inner resourcefulness. They also mention a really nice technique, integrating the affirmation with a calming breath practice.
Oh, how does that work?
Simple, really. You inhale while focusing on the affirmation, really feeling it, and then exhale while consciously letting go of tension, stress, or worry.
Connecting the mental intention with the physical act of breathing and releasing, that sounds really effective for grounding yourself.
Yeah, it deepens the impact by connecting it to a physical sensation, which actually leads us nicely into the relationship between mindfulness and affirmations. The Mindfulness Exercises article does a great job clarifying the similarities and the differences.
Okay, because sometimes they can seem a bit similar, both involving focus.
They can. So the article explains that while both are definitely powerful tools for personal growth, they have distinct primary focuses. Affirmation meditation, as we've discussed, centers on actively repeating positive statements to cultivate positive beliefs and feelings.
Right, actively shaping yourself.
Whereas mindfulness meditation is more about cultivating a non-judgmental awareness of the present moment, whatever arises, thoughts, feelings, sensations, just noticing it without trying to change it immediately.
So one is more about directing thought, the other about observing thought.
That's a good way to put it. The article frames it like this. Affirmation meditation is often directed towards a desired future state. Where do I want to go? Who do I want to become?
Future-oriented, okay.
While mindfulness is deeply rooted in the present, what is happening right now? What am I experiencing in this moment?
Okay. Future focus versus present focus. That's a really clear distinction.
Isn't it? But importantly, the article also highlights their common ground, where they overlap.
Okay, what are the similarities?
Well, both definitely require focused attention, even though the object of that attention differs. Both are incredibly supportive of personal growth and enhanced self-awareness. And both have the potential to yield really positive outcomes like stress reduction, increased self-esteem, better emotional regulation. They're complementary practices, not opposing ones.
Complementary.
Yeah.
I like that. So how could you combine them? Did the article offer specific ways to integrate them?
It did. Some really practical ideas. One they call affirmations in the body. This involves really noticing the physical sensations in your body as you repeat an affirmation, feeling it physically.
Okay, like we just discussed with the breathing.
Grounding it.
Exactly. Another is affirm the present. This means using affirmations that specifically anchor you in the current moment, rather than just focusing on the future. Things like, this moment is enough, or I am fully present right here, right now.
Using affirmations for mindfulness, essentially.
Kind of, yeah.
Mm.
And a third one, which I think is really powerful, is mindfulness of room to grow.
What's that? This is where you use mindfulness first, that non-judgmental awareness, to become aware of your specific negative thought patterns or limiting beliefs as they arise.
Okay, you notice the weeds.
You notice the weeds. And then you use targeted affirmations to actively challenge and reshape those specific patterns you've identified.
So it's a 1-2 punch. Awareness first, then the targeted positive intention. That really highlights the synergy between the two, doesn't it?
It really does. Using that present moment awareness to identify what needs attention and then intentionally guiding that attention with positive affirmations, it feels very integrated.
Yeah.
The article also does a good job addressing some common misunderstandings, like reminding us that neither mindfulness nor affirmations are a quick fix.
Right, takes practice.
Takes practice. They're not one-size-fits-all solutions either, and they aren't necessarily tied to any specific religious or spiritual belief system. They're really just accessible tools for anyone looking to work with their mind.
Accessible tools. Good way to put it. Okay, now let's take a quick detour and look at what folks are actually saying about this on Reddit. It's always interesting to get those, real-world, unfiltered perspectives.
Absolutely. It adds another layer. The Reddit discussion we looked at was interesting because it really showed a range of experiences. Some people find affirmations incredibly helpful, especially for quieting that harsh, critical inner voice.
Yeah, I can see that. Directly countering the negativity.
Exactly. While others mentioned finding the non-judgmental observation of mindfulness, just noticing thoughts without engaging to be a more effective primary approach for them, it really highlights how individual these practices are. What works wonders for one person might not click for another.
That's a really important point. There's no single right way.
Definitely not. And one interesting point someone raised was about mindfully observing any resistance or negative feelings that come up when you try to use affirmations.
Oh, interesting. So, not fighting the resistance.
Yeah, more like acknowledging the discomfort. Okay, this feels weird, or part of me doesn't believe this yet, rather than trying to just force positivity over the top of it.
That sounds gentler.
Hmm.
And probably more effective long term. It aligns perfectly with that mindfulness of room to grow idea we just talked about.
Spot on. Noticing what's there without judgment, which allows for maybe a more gradual and integrated shift in those thought patterns.
Did anything else stand out from the Reddit discussion?
Well, there was a fascinating anecdote someone shared about using a daily affirmation specifically about receiving unexpected money.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
And then they apparently experienced some positive, unexpected financial events shortly after. Now, obviously, that's anecdotal, but it does speak to the potential power of belief and focused intention for some people.
The power of focus, maybe. Interesting.
Yeah. And another perspective offered was that while positive affirmations can be a really helpful short-term tool, maybe for interrupting negative spirals, they often work best when combined with deeper, more sustained self-work or therapy, not just as a standalone fix.
That seems like a balanced view.
Yeah.
A tool, but maybe not the whole toolbox.
Exactly. There was also a strong sentiment around really personalizing your affirmations. Don't just grab generic ones. Craft statements that feel genuinely meaningful and resonant for you.
Yeah, that makes sense. More buy-in.
More buy-in. And someone even mentioned a connection between using affirmations, particularly self-compassionate ones, and actively cultivating loving kindness towards oneself.
So linking affirmations to that broader practice of self-kindness.
Yeah, it really just underscores the idea that this is all a personal exploration, isn't it? It's about finding what combination of tools and approaches works best for your unique mind and circumstances through a bit of experimentation.
Definitely. Okay, shifting gears slightly, let's talk about the Thrive On program. This looks like a pretty comprehensive resource for health and overall well-being.
Yes, it's presented as your health and wellness program. Their newsletter excerpt we saw offered a definition of mindfulness, actually drawing from the American Psychological Association.
Oh, what was their definition?
They defined it as basically an awareness of your internal states, thoughts, feelings, sensations, and your surroundings, all in the present moment. And they really emphasized its role in helping you step back from maybe destructive or automatic habits by observing thoughts and emotions without judgment.
Sounds very much aligned with what we've been discussing. Did they highlight specific benefits?
They did. They mentioned many of the benefits we've already touched on, things like reduced rumination, that endless cycle of negative thoughts,
Yes.
lower stress levels, boosts in working memory, and becoming less emotionally reactive so you're not instantly triggered by things.
Those are significant benefits.
Huge. And they even cited Mayo Clinic findings linking mindfulness practice to improvements in conditions like stress, anxiety, pain, depression, insomnia, and even high blood pressure. It really underscores the broad impact these practices can have on overall health.
Wow. It's not just mental, it's physical too.
Exactly. And Thrive On provides some very accessible examples of how to practice mindfulness in just everyday life. Simple things like intentionally paying attention to your senses. What do you see, hear, smell right now?
Bring you back to the present.
Yeah. Fully engaging in the present moment, whatever you're doing. Practicing self-acceptance, which ties into self-compassion. And the classic, focusing on your breath.
Simple foundational practices.
Very. They also offer more structured mindfulness exercises like body scan meditations, traditional sitting meditations, and walking meditations. And importantly, they provide guided audio resources for these, which can be super helpful, especially when you're starting out.
Having a guide can make a big difference. That's great they offer that. And it looks like they have some interesting programs and events too.
Yeah, they seem quite active. There was mention of a free mood-boosting meal kit experience they were offering in partnership with a group called Yellowbird Food Shed.
Oh, cool. Food and mindfulness.
Yeah, led by their wellness consultant, Maddie Bidwell. It looked like there was a specific asparagus pasta recipe involved.
Yeah.
Sounds nice. Although the sign-up deadline mentioned was around May 24th, so that might have passed. But it shows the kind of wellness initiatives they run.
Definitely. Shows a practical approach.
Yes. And they also had upcoming webinars mentioned, one focused on simplifying life, which ties right into reducing overwhelm, and another on practical tips for food safety during summer gatherings.
Useful stuff.
And relevant to daily life. Plus, there are 5 tips to meal prep for success, things like cooking grains ahead, prepping produce when you buy it, creating easy grab-and-go breakfasts and snacks, prepping proteins that really aligns with this whole theme of making healthy and mindful choices easier and more accessible in your busy routine.
Absolutely. It all connects back to making these positive changes sustainable, building them into your life rather than feeling like extra burdens.
Okay, and finally, let's explore that really crucial link between self-compassion and affirmations. The Body and Mindfully Healthy article highlighted this connection really well.
Yes, this feels like such a fundamental piece of the puzzle, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
True well-being isn't just about positive thinking. It's also about how we treat ourselves when things are tough.
So true. How did they define self-compassion?
They broke it down into its core elements. Firstly, recognizing our shared human experience, the simple fact that everyone struggles, everyone makes mistakes, suffering is part of life. It connects us rather than isolates us.
That's important. Not feeling alone in your struggles.
Exactly. And the second key element is practicing mindfulness, being present with our difficult emotions, our perceived flaws, our pain, but with awareness and without harsh judgment, just acknowledging it's there.
Okay, common humanity and mindful awareness. And how do affirmations fit into cultivating that? Well, the article explains how affirmations can be really powerful tools for cultivating this self-compassion. Firstly, by helping us consciously reframe that harsh inner critic we all have.
Talking back to the negative voice.
Yes. Secondly, by building emotional resilience, affirmations can remind us of our strength and ability to cope even when we feel vulnerable. Thirdly, they help reinforce positive, kinder beliefs about ourselves. And finally, they encourage that mindful presence with our own thoughts and feelings, even the difficult ones, allowing us to respond with kindness instead of criticism.
So affirmations become a way to practice self-kindness intentionally.
Precisely. And they offered some really lovely, gentle, nurturing affirmations specifically for self-compassion. Things like, I am worthy of love and care, especially for myself.
Oh, that's beautiful. And often hard to believe for people.
It can be. Another one, it's okay to not be perfect. I'm growing and learning every day. Just giving yourself permission to be human.
Permission to be imperfect. We all need that.
We really do. And the article also reminded us of other ways to nurture self-compassion, which work alongside affirmations. Things like actively practicing mindfulness, as we've discussed, taking time to celebrate even small accomplishments, small wins.
Acknowledging progress.
Yeah. Consciously trying to speak to yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a dear friend who is struggling.
The treat yourself like a friend test. That's a good one.
It really is. And importantly, reaching out for support when you need it. Self-compassion doesn't mean handling everything alone.
That's a crucial point. Connection is part of it. It really brings home the idea that being kind to ourselves isn't selfish or indulgent. It's actually a foundational element for managing stress effectively and fostering a truly positive and resilient mindset.
Absolute fundamental.
Mm.
And just weaving in a quick final note from that Apple Podcasts excerpt, we saw it served as a great reminder about the power of using positive meditations and affirmations, especially when looking towards, say, a fresh start like a new year.
Yeah, setting intentions for the future.
Exactly. They emphasize the importance of setting a really clear vision for your goals, what you want to achieve or cultivate, then creating empowering affirmations that are specifically aligned with those intentions,
Making them targeted.
making them targeted, and then incorporating those affirmations into your meditation practice, perhaps by vividly visualizing the life you desire while repeating the affirmation. It's about intentionally using these tools to help shape the future you want to create.
Intentionally shaping your future. That really brings everything together nicely, doesn't it?
It truly does. I mean, this whole deep dive, looking through all these different lenses, the practical tips, the science, the personal experiences, the different tools, it really highlights how these seemingly simple practices of mindfulness and positive affirmations can collectively create a really significant and positive shift in your overall well-being.
Absolutely. So for you, the listener listening right now, we really hope this encourages you to experiment. You don't have to do everything at once. Just maybe try one thing.
Yeah, pick one.
Try incorporating a mindful wake-up tomorrow morning. Or maybe pay a little more attention during lunch today. Build in just one or two of those mindful pauses throughout your day. Bring a little more awareness to your workout or even your commute.
Or maybe explore the world of positive affirmations. See if crafting one resonates with you, whether it's for cultivating general positivity, maybe easing a specific anxiety, or importantly, nurturing greater self-compassion.
And remember what the mindful article pointed out so clearly. Consistency is the key. It's not about perfection.
Not at all.
It's about those small, intentional shifts. When you practice them regularly, even imperfectly, they really do compound over time. They lead to meaningful and lasting change.
That's the encouraging part. Small steps, big impact eventually.
So as you reflect on all these different approaches and ideas we've explored together today, here's a thought to leave you with. What small, intentional step will you take today, or maybe tomorrow, to cultivate just a little bit more presence and positivity in your own life?
And please, we wholeheartedly encourage you to delve deeper into these resources. If something sparked your interest, explore the Mindful magazine, check out the Better Up blog, the wealth of information on the Mindfulness Exercises website, or maybe even browse that Reddit thread for more community perspectives.
Yeah, there's a whole world of support and information out there to accompany you on this journey. Don't feel you have to figure it all out alone.